Welcome. This is a Lenovo V510 and it has an issue with its BIOS chip. Or not the chip, but the BIOS itself. So the previous owner said he downloaded an executable from official Lenovo website for flashing the BIOS, and he ran that file and the computer made something and it restarted and it wouldn't restart. Now currently, if you turn the machine on, you get like a second of fan spin, then fan turns off. At that point all the voltages are present, the CPU gets warm, and after like half a minute or so the fan turns back on at full speed, no picture. Sometimes, but not every time, if you hit the tab or caps lock button, you get a light on the keyboard itself. And that's it, you can't do more with this machine right now. So my idea is I'm going to dump the BIOS chip and have a look what's going on there. And for us, I will need this CH341A USB programmer, and I made like this contraption here. I will solder it directly to the chip. I won't use any of these clamps because I hate them with a passion, and yeah, see how it works from there. It's important, before we do that, we have to disconnect the battery and take out the CMOS battery. But yeah, so when looking for a BIOS dump that we want to, it's usually good practice to have your mainboard name and revision, search for BIOS. There's all kind of scammy sites out there, so yeah, MEAnalyzer works, Badcap works, but basically you have to click through and find out if it's okay or not. In this case we're going to Badcaps. I've opened already some tabs here. There are many files, you can read through it, what works, what doesn't work. I did a bit of that and downloaded some dumps here. And next step is basically open your program or USB programmer software, and then you can load these images and basically flash them onto the chip. First you obviously have to erase the IC, but it's very important that before you do that, whatever it is, make a dump. Make several dumps of the chip. You can also verify what you have dumped. Verify means basically it's read once, then it's read the second time, and it's compared, and if it's not the same, you get some kind of message on the screen. And usually I dump it twice, so verified dump twice, so 4 times read, and then I compare the 2 already verified dumps against each other. And you can do it on the command line with like checksums and everything, or you just import it into HXD, which is a hex editor. Then you go analyze, compare, yes, and then you want the selected files are identical or something like that, the message, and that means your dump is good. And if you haven't done that, don't proceed, because once you erase the IC, it's gone. There is no way of going or getting it back, and you really only want to do that if you have a good backup. So, but after you've done that, you can write to it, first erase and then write to it, and yeah, see how that goes. I'll spare you the tedious flashing and reflashing process. The gist of it is I found one BIOS dump that worked. Oh, and I'll put this little upgrade additional hard drive in the cage. So yeah, so one of the dumps worked, and the reason for that, I guess, is the other dumps all had mismatching management engine firmwares. So what we are looking for is 11.5, and all the other dumps had like 10, or one had 12, so that won't work. With the one that did work, there was an issue, still was an issue, and that issue was that between pressing the start button and at the screen actually turning on was like a delay of 30-45 seconds or so, and that strongly suggests that the management engine has an issue. And you can repair that issue by cleaning that management engine. However, there was another issue with this dump that I downloaded, and that was that serial number were missing, Windows key was missing. Yeah, so the Windows key is not a big deal, I mean, it's cheap. The serial number actually also isn't that big of a deal. Most likely the only thing that would happen is that the Lenovo bloatware would be upset. Maybe you had issues installing drivers, I don't know. Probably not. But since we have to clean the management engine anyways, what I want to try is to fix the original dump first, so that all that information would be present, and in the end you get a perfect product, rather than having this botched together thing without Windows key and without serial number, model number. All that information would be missing, and yeah. So the idea is take the original dump, clean the management engine, and then flash it back. Let's start cleaning that management engine region, and yeah, so there are a few things we need to have in order to start. So here are the two dumps that I made earlier, but I'm not going to work on them. Here I have a copy of it. So we need a dump. Then the first piece of software is MEAnalyzer. With that we can read out the version and management engine version. For that, I put the links in the description. This GitHub page, we can download it, and I've already done that here. And with this we can, yeah, so I show it here. So the way you use the analyzer is basically simple. You take, I'm not going to work on the backup. You take the file that you want to be analyzed, drag it onto it, press enter, and here we go. So I just analyzed our original dump, and as you can see, our CSME, so management engine, is version 11.5.0.1058. It's the production release, extracted consumer LP, and so on. So now we need to know which version of the following tools do we need to search for, because you can't just take any version of the tools that I'm going to recommend to you. You have to use a specific, or the specific version matching your version here. So this 11.5 in this case, it might be different in yours, but you need to have the correct version. So That brings us to the second item that we need, and that's Intel ME System Tools. And, or more precisely, we need Flash Image Tool. And to get that, it's you can haggle or crawl through all these WinRAID forum posts. Everything is here that you need. With the Flash Image Tool, I found it easier to just Google for it, and here I'll say it's okay. Now the version here doesn't really matches up, but it's close enough. That works. So we download that. I've also already done that. Extracted it here, and it looks like that. The way you use that tool is, again, you can just drag and drop, or you open it here, but yeah, it's easier. So it's finished loading, and basically it looks like that. You can make sure that you really have the correct version, 11.6. In our case, if you have like 11.8 or something, you will find the matching version online. Easiest probably if you just Google for it, rather than looking through the repositories on the WinRAID forums. Now we have the last piece that we need. We can discard it for now. The last piece that we need is firmware repository pack. It's quite big actually, with a lot of version. In this folder I only put the one that we need, which is 11.5, and you can find it also in the WinRAID forum, or you Google for it. And yeah, if we have these 4 items, so your original dump, the analyzer, system tools or flash image tool, and the clean Intel Management Engine firmware repository pack, we have everything we need to start. And first thing I already showed you is find out your version number that you have. If you have done that, we open again Flash Image Tool. Then we import the dump that we want to clean. In this case I take dump 1. Now it's loaded. Then we go to build settings, and we want to generate change the value of generate intermediate files to no. Close that image. Now for this case, or for this laptop, for this V510, it's not really needed, but if you are on a different or you want to follow this for a different machine, you need to check if this OEM public key hash is 0. If it's populated, meaning if like a non-zero or non-F value here, you have to follow the guide that I linked. There is additional steps needed to sign the BIOS. Luckily in this case we're good to continue. We can save now. Save as. We want an untitled XML file, or you can untitled, you name whatever you wanted. Save. Now it's saved. We can close it. Go back into the folder. So this is the untitled XML document that we just made, and the new part here is the dump 1 folder. And then we go to decomp, and here you can find basically the individual parts that the whole BIOS consists of. and we are interested in this one, and we need to change that. So how to change it? For that we go back to the firmware repository, and as you remembered, or now let's first do that properly. MEAnalyzer. So now we need to find the correct file that we need, and so the first thing that we have to look for is here the version number. Obviously the last 3 here are the wrong version, so they're out of the question. And now we have same version number, conlp, and production extra or the RGN. We want to take the RGN, copy it, going back to the system tools, flash image, dump, decomp, here, post it, delete these 2. Then rename that to ME region. When we have done that, we go back, restart the flash image tool, open the previously closed untitled, and now we can build it. It's the green button, build image, boot guard disabled on platform, yeah, that's fine. And now we're done. We can close the flash image tool, and now we have this outimage.bin, and that's the file that we're going to flash back onto the laptop, and it should be working now. But we'll see after I have flashed it. I update you. So this is the first start after we cleaned the BIOS and flashed it back on. It might be that with the first start it's turning on and off again, but let's hope it will work. And then in the second step that it's fixed the previous problems with the long boot time, although I don't expect that for the first boot that it will be a bit slower than the subsequent boots. So I turn it on. Yeah, and what you didn't have heard, it's just shut itself off and it's again on. So far it's normal. Again it shut itself off. Hopefully now we're going to have a picture. Again, shut itself off. Now I'm getting a bit worried. Ah, nice, here we go. So I'll reboot it and see how fast the delay between turning it on and having a picture is going to be after a reboot. So let's try turning it on again. Oh yeah, that's much better. That's how it should be. So yeah, cool. So I will be booting back into BIOS, and then we have a look if the serial number and everything will be there. And if that's the case, I'll use the machine a bit, and yeah, see you when I'm back in BIOS. As you can see, or rather won't see because I will probably censor it out, but there is a pre-installed OS license, it's there, secure boot is enabled, it works, also the Lenovo serial number, UUID number, everything that was missing before is now there, so I'm quite happy with that. Product name was also not there beforehand, so yeah, happy with that outcome. Now we have one last step in that tutorial to do in the OS itself, and after that we are done. We are on the machine, it's working, and there is one last thing to do. We need to run the Flash programming tool. That's a new one. I'll link it in the description. It's also in the CSME system tools that you can download from WinRAID forums. And we need to run this Flash programming tool because it's apparently it forces the engine coprocessor to reinitialize and properly accept any changes to its SPI BIOS image region counterpart. So that's a citation from the WinRAID forum. I'll leave it at that, but we are certainly going to do that. And the way you do it, you run a command prompt and execute it as administrator. Then we take first you have to extract it. For that I used unzip 7-zip. Go to the CSMA system tools or folder, Flash programming tool, Win64 if you have a 64-bit machine. Then copy this location, this path, CD, Ctrl-V. Now I want to run this one here, the FPTW64 tw.exe and minus GRE set. So let it restart. And see what that brings us. Now the machine is off. And restarted, although the capture card doesn't pick up. Oh. So, and that should be it. Now we're done. Everything is working just fine as it should. Yeah, I'm happy. So if this was helpful to you, I would really like, or I would be glad if you subscribed, shared, commented and all that. And yeah, I hope it was helpful to you, and have a nice day.